We live in an era that glorifies relentless productivity. The hustle is worn as a badge of honor, and every moment of inactivity is diagnosed as a moral failing, laziness. But what if this conclusion is wrong? What if the profound exhaustion you feel, that bone-deep weariness that no amount of sleep can cure, is not a sign that you are broken, but a signal that you are protesting? This is not the clean fatigue of a body that has worked hard and earned its rest. This is a different state entirely. It is a weariness of the spirit, a quiet rebellion from the deepest part of you against a life that has become disconnected from meaning. This feeling is not a malfunction. It is a symptom of a soul that has been starved. It is a crisis of meaning in an age of noise. And this is exactly what we will explore. This pervasive exhaustion is so often mislabeled. Society, and perhaps the critical voice in your own mind, may call it a lack of discipline or a failure of willpower. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding. Willpower is for minor choices. It is not a tool capable of compelling a spirit to participate in a life that feels hollow. This state is distinct from classic burnout. Burnout is often the result of doing too much, a consequence of overwhelming stress from a specific source, like a demanding career. Burnout screams, "I cannot keep up." This deeper fatigue, however, whispers something far more unsettling. "I don't remember why I am running." The defining characteristic of this condition is a profound apathy. It is not that the desire to act is absent. A part of you may desperately wish to engage with life, to pursue hobbies, to be productive. But the connection between the desire to act and the ability to act feels severed. This paralysis leads to a state of emotional numbness. You find yourself scrolling not for pleasure, but because it is an act that demands nothing. The thought of simple tasks feels monumental. You may crave solitude, but when you achieve it, the silence doesn't restore you. It only amplifies the emptiness. This isn't the overwhelming sadness of classic depression. It is the terrifying absence of feeling. It is an emotional flatline. And from this emptiness, a question begins to surface. What is the point? You look at your obligations, your career, your life, and a sense of profound meaninglessness descends. It is here we must understand that this is not a personal failure. It is a form of learned fatigue, the inevitable consequence of running a race you never chose, toward a finish line you do not care about. Your soul, in its wisdom, has pulled the emergency brake. So if this is not laziness, what is it? And why is it a defining condition for so many in this specific moment in history? The answer is at once simple and profound. This exhaustion is a natural response to an unnatural way of living. From the moment we wake, our attention is a commodity under constant assault. Our digital environment floods us with a fire hose of stimuli, global crises, curated perfection, and commercial messages, all delivered in a single endless scroll. Our minds were not built for this volume of emotional data. This creates a state of cognitive overload, fragmenting our focus and leading to a chronic mental and emotional fatigue. Psychologists refer to one of its effects as compassion fatigue, a diminished capacity for empathy that arises from repeated exposure to trauma. You are not a bad person for scrolling past a tragedy. Your psyche is subconsciously protecting itself from a burden it cannot bear. It is not just the volume of information, but the very structure of our digital world that is rewiring our reward systems. Every notification delivers a shallow hit of dopamine, creating an addictive loop that devalues deeper, slower sources of satisfaction. We become trapped in a cycle of seeking instant gratification, which leaves us perpetually unfulfilled. This is the existential void that the great psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, Viktor Frankl, identified decades ago. Through his experiences in the concentration camps, Frankl developed logotherapy, a school of thought centered on a powerful thesis. The primary human drive is the pursuit of meaning. He observed that the prisoners most likely to survive were not the strongest, but those who held on to a why, the thought of a loved one, a work to complete, a purpose that transcended their suffering. This led Frankl to his foundational conclusion: Echoing the philosopher Nietzsche, he who has a why to live for can bear with almost any how. Our modern world, while free from such overt horrors, faces its own crisis of meaning. We have become masters at filling the existential void with distraction. We live in a culture that prioritizes constant stimulation and external validation over genuine internal purpose. Every moment of potential silence where self-reflection might occur is immediately filled. We have systematically eliminated the boredom and solitude that are the fertile soil for self-discovery. Our exhaustion, then, is not from a lack of activity, but from a surplus of meaningless activity. It is a symptom of deep spiritual malnourishment. Your apathy is not a defect. It is a sane protest against an insane system. Your soul is not broken. It is waiting. It is waiting for you to stop searching for the next distraction and start searching for your why. How, then, do we begin the journey back to ourselves from a place of such profound exhaustion? The answer is not another form of hustle. It is not a project of self-optimization. It is a process of undoing. It is about creating space and listening. First, the cultivation of stillness. Your inner voice speaks in the language of silence. To hear it, you must quiet the external noise. This requires scheduling periods of intentional stillness. For this period, your only task is to exist without agenda. No phone, no media, no chores. You are not required to be productive. At first, this will feel deeply uncomfortable. The urge to seek distraction will be immense. This is the withdrawal. But boredom is not the enemy. It is the gateway. In this space, the whispers of your inner world can finally emerge. You are creating a vacuum that your authentic self will rush to fill. Second, the existential question. Viktor Frankl believed that we are constantly being asked questions by life, and our meaning is found in how we respond. When feeling lost, a powerful way to reorient your internal compass is to pose a gentle but profound question to yourself. Let it marinate. What is one thing I could do today that would feel genuinely true? If I released all external expectations, what would I want? And inspired by Frankl, what is life asking of me right now? Clarity comes from this gentle inquiry, not from force. The answers will arrive not as lightning bolts, but as small, intuitive nudges. Third, curate your attention. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. A significant part of this fatigue is the draining pull of the digital world. You must set boundaries. Create tech-free zones, especially in your bedroom, to protect the sanctity of your rest. Go through your digital feeds and ruthlessly unfollow any source that generates feelings of inadequacy, outrage, or emptiness. Your attention is your most sacred resource. Stop giving it to things that drain you and begin to practice mindful consumption. Before you engage with media, ask, what is my intention? Fourth, small acts of alignment. Purpose is not typically found in a single, grand revelation. It is built moment by moment through small acts that align with your inner values. Your task is to do one small thing each day that feels true. If you value creativity, doodle for 5 minutes. If you value nature, step outside and notice the sky. If you value connection, send a message of appreciation to a friend. These small acts are breadcrumbs on the path back to yourself. They reestablish the severed connection between your inner world and your outer actions. Clarity comes from engagement, not from thought alone. This journey is not a race, but a slow and sacred process of remembering. It is about remembering that your worth is not measured by your output, and that rest is not a reward to be earned, but a right to be claimed. Your exhaustion is not weakness. It is a sign of a profound and wise part of you fighting for a more authentic life. Viktor Frankl wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." The constant stimulation of the modern world has collapsed that space. Your fatigue is a desperate plea to reclaim it, to pause long enough to choose meaning over noise, purpose over distraction, and your own life over the one prescribed to you. You are not lazy, you are waking up. If this message resonated with you, share in the comments what part of this journey felt most true. Your story can be the validation someone else needs to finally give themselves permission to rest.